Good morning, everyone. This is the Mad Professor from Two Cigars and a Blunt podcast, streaming live Fridays, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, followed by the Ashed Out After Show. And now, Wednesdays, we do a sports podcast called the Better Than Sex Sports Podcast, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central. And I haven't done this in a while, so please forgive me if it comes off as a bit too disorganized because it kind of is. Um, and this is a video I should have made a long time ago, but I've been lazy about doing it, and that's my fault. Um, Ignore the hyperbole. What you know? What? Don't ignore the hyperbole of when everyone always says this is the most important election of our time because this one is. You have one candidate whose name I'm going to say one last time, Donald J. Trump, running against Vice President Kamala Harris. And I want you to think about the two candidates and listen to what they've said. One candidate has promised to do everything to harm people, to harm the people he doesn't like, the people that doesn't look like him, the people he considers enemies. Um, and you should believe him that he'll try to do it as much as he can because his Supreme Court has already said he's pretty much immune to whatever he's done, whatever he's going to do as president. So he has a list of people that he considers enemies that he'll say harms the country, when in fact he's been the one harming the country this whole time. You have another candidate who talks about what she wants to do. She wants to help people. She wants to help people who in social status and power are beneath her or underneath her. She's promised to help these people to come up and to get, the American dream, or at least the American dream that the way we used to think of it. Business ownership, home ownership. She's promised to do a whole bunch of these things while, like I said, the only thing he's ever done is talk about his grievances and how it's not fair that people are holding him to account for what he's done. I mean, you want to hand over the reins of the country to a man who's had his businesses taken from him. He's not trusted to run his businesses. He's not trusted to run charities. He's not trusted around. He shouldn't be trusted around women by himself because of his now criminal past. While you have the prosecutor, who some people want to chime and say, "Oh, she only got ahead because she slept her way to the top." Sleeping your way to the top is going to get you ahead in corporations, but not in elections. She's actually won elections where he's lost multiple elections, or at least one election. Anyway, you have to think about the future of the country. Don't think of the now. Think of the future of the country. Think of what's going to become of the country if this man gets elected again. Because, like I said, he's already promised that there won't need to be any more votes and any more elections. And I don't care how he tried to spin it and how the people that support him try to spin it. He means this. Because the one thing about this man one of the other things that you need to think about this man is, look at how many times he said something that someone had to go back and explain what he meant. You don't have to do that with Miss Harris. You don't have to explain what she meant. She might misspeak. One of her supporters or one of her surrogates in public may misspeak, but it's not a consistent thing. You don't always have to have someone decipher what she says because she pretty much says what she means. And for those of you who have a problem voting for a female and putting a female in power, uh, get over it. Because on Two Cigars and a Blunt podcast the other day, someone chimed in that the world isn't ready for a female leader. Was the world ready for Theresa May, Prime Minister of England, or Margaret Thatcher, one of her predecessors? Was the world ready for Angela Merkel, President of Germany? And these are people that was elected, okay? Was the world ready for Avril Phaedra Douglas or Kim Campbell, who was the Prime Minister of Canada some years ago? The world elected these people. They weren't appointed. They were elected. So don't give me this, the world's not ready for a female leader. Just say you're not. If you're misogynistic enough to be upset that a woman wants to be president again, just admit that you're not ready and step aside. because your way of thinking is old, stupid, and misogynistic. It's just dumb. I mean, it's funny to me that you would rather vote for a criminal, someone who's not even allowed to vote for president. He can't cast a ballot as president, for president rather. But you're going to vote him in as president, which makes no sense to me. That would make the country a laughing stock. That would tell the world that, hey, this country has an easier time and is more comfortable looking backward than looking forward. Um, I'm not trying to tell you who to vote for. If you really want to vote for that man, you be my guest. I just don't want you to complain about what happens, because he's, like I said, he's promised to do this and do that to people that he don't like or people that he hates. He's trying not to say he hates them, but you can tell he does. Um, he you want to vote for a man who says he gave so much money to this organization and that organization. In fact, last week he said he gave $15 billion to farmers, without telling you that the reason he had to give $15 billion to farmers was because of his trade war that he wants to restart with China, that had them canceling orders from American farmers. Now, the money that he gave only went to corporate owned farms and farms of wealthy people that he know, not family farms. Family farms failed. He didn't care about them. And he promises to charge 95% tariffs, saying that the companies are going to pay for this. But do you think companies are going to let a 95% tariff interrupt their profit? I mean, more than a few CEOs, including the one that I do remember offhand, AutoZone CEO last week said that cost is going to be passed along to the consumer. He didn't tell you who to vote for, but he damn sure told you who not to vote for. So there's that. Um, on to close the show the other day on Two Cigars and a Blunt, Pharaoh King said, "Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it, but those who erase history intend to repeat it." And that shit, that is important to think about. I mean, he wants to get rid of history. He wants to change the way history is taught, so that we forget history, or so that we ignore history, so that what he brings back from the past can be done more easily, more readily, and set that up for the future. Um, this is important. And like I said, I wish I had done this video earlier, because it needed more people need to hear this. And I know coming out this morning and on election day in particular, not many people are going to see it. But for those of you who do, please pass it along to someone who needs to hear this, because I'm thinking about my kids' future. I mean, I'm older, so I don't have much more time. I hope I have a whole lot more time, but realistically, I know I don't have a whole lot more time. But my kids do. Their kids do. Just like your kids and your kids' kids, grandkids. Most people call them. But I just need you to think about that for a moment, okay? I need you to get over whatever hangups you have about Miss Harris, because there shouldn't be many. She's the most qualified person to ever run for president. Ever. She's more educated. She's more accomplished than anyone, including Barack Obama, there's no one else that's been as there was no one more qualified than he was at the time. So, again, just think about your vote. And for those of you who don't vote, I don't want to hear shit if this man gets elected, and say you're married to someone who's an immigrant from one of the countries he hates, and he tries to send them back, even though they may be a citizen now. I don't want to hear your shit about, I should have voted. I should have voted a different way. Because, yeah, you should have. You should have. This is something important to talk about. And we all need to do it. We all need to do it before the end of the day, before polls close. We need to talk. We need to talk about this.